Many people love tales of the gold rush and the Wild West, with the shows of this genre still being very popular to this day, with the likes of Yellowstone, Longmire and Justified in recent years. There is an old, crumbling town in California that has been left abandoned for decades after a terrible tragedy occurred there. But honestly, life here was pretty hard to begin with. Hi everyone and welcome to Darkness Dissected. Today we're going to delve into the dark and paranormal history of Bodie Ghost Town, which is hidden in the rocky hills that surround the Sierra Nevada mountains. Visitors who have walked about this decaying town have reported spirits still wandering here, but it may not be that they're lost, but content to just be left alone in their trapped pocket of time, which the town of Bodie still encompasses. So let's discover what happened in Bodie long ago and the stories of ghosts and curses. In 1859, W.S. Bodie and 3 colleagues discovered a deposit of gold on the eastern side of the Sierra foothills. Excited at the chance of making some serious money, the group swore to keep the location secret until the following year and then set up camp. Sadly, a blizzard hit on the way back to camp and W.S. Bodie perished. When the camp was named not long after, the remaining group decided to name it after their lost companion. Sadly though, when the painter did the signage, he spelt Bodie wrong, adding IE at the end instead of EY, and it remains the same to this day. Deposits of gold were slow and steady at first until a bizarre accident took place in 1876. Would you believe? A massive cave-in revealed a large amount of gold. The Standard Consolidated Mining Company stepped in, of course they did, and turned the camp into a western town while building mining and stamp mill operations there. By 1879, while gold was still pouring out of the town, the population got to be as high as around 8,000 people, with every resident supporting the economy. Success brought about more business, and before long there were said to be 60 taverns lining main streets. You had a Chinatown district, and of course prostitution was very much in demand. Many of the buildings that remain are from the town's boom period. And talking about the Chinatown district, hundreds of Chinese people earn their money here, selling vegetables, working for laundry services or logging and selling wood. And Bodie needed wood desperately, as during winter months you could die easily without firewood to keep you warm. For example, the winter of 1878 to 79 resulted in hundreds of people dying from exposure. Bodie's peak time didn't last for more than a few years, as with the volume of people arriving, well, throw in money, drink and frustration, and suddenly the town is struggling with murders and fighting. To give you an example of how bad life in Bodie got, there is a legend of a young girl who discovers she's moving to the town and prays, saying, "Goodbye God, we're going to Bodie." Life was hard here, and not just with weather conditions. Lives were lost over the years due to falling timber, explosions and other accidents. In 1892 and 1932, 2 fires broke out in the town. The last one was so severe it destroyed most of the town. Whereas there had been 2,000 structures, now there were around 168. These are the ones that you can see today. And now, with the big company taking the majority of the profits, many of the get-rich-quick type packed up and left. But this left the town to families, and before long, churches were replacing brothels. Life continued at a slower pace for a while, but it was just a matter of time until the well ran dry for this town. By 1910, the population had dropped to under 700 residents, and in 1913, the Standard Company closed and the Bodie Railway was abandoned in 1917. In 1919, the population dropped to 100 residents, and by 1942, mining officially ended and the post office closed. Finally, there were only 3 residents left, and they took control over the future of the ghost town. Bodie became a National Historic Landmark in 1961, with California taking over control of the town and its preservation. And in 1962, the state legislature created Bodie State Historic Park. Due to the rotting wood and rusting metal that was everywhere in the area, they didn't replace or repair properties, but preserved the town in the state it was in. In other words, it won't get any worse than its current state. The term is referred to as arrested decay. I love that name. The town that still stands is the same as it was when residents left. Some even have goods still stocked inside. There are 2 graveyards to look at around that remain here too, called Bodie Cemetery, which is the main one that has about 150 past residents buried here, and a Boot Hill Cemetery, often referred to as Bodie Outcast Cemetery. This is where some of the town's criminals and prostitutes were buried. So, to review, much happened in only a few decades in this small town, and plenty of it was not great to say the least. People were faced with harsh conditions, violence, accidental deaths and illness. So many of the dead will have been left frustrated at the time of their final moments. This was a town that became part of the residents, as it was a case of work together or perish. These people worked hard for what they had, so maybe this is why the curse came about and the hauntings. Many visitors who come to Bodie Ghost Town love the nostalgia of the place and the history. Finding a keepsake can be important to some, and if they see a small abandoned item, whether that be a bottle, pebble off the street or a nail from a property, they keep it. Like visiting the beach, many may think, see a shell, pick it up. But this is a protected town under California's heritage, and taking anything out of the town is theft. And many people who have taken a small memento have lived to regret it, sending letters of apology with the item returned. These people experiences range from losing their jobs, ill health, car accidents, and of course, terrible luck. But keeping your hands to yourself is the least of your worries in this town. Past residents are still walking amongst the living. The J.S. Kane house was once the home of James Stuart Kane, who moved to Bodie at the age of 25. He became a very successful banker and businessman. In his home, you will find the spirit of a Chinese woman who is believed to have taken care of Kane. Described as being a heavy-set woman, it seems she loves children and will appear to those who visit a specific bedroom on the 2nd floor. But a spirit isn't nice to adults, which makes me wonder how she died or was treated, especially due to what she likes to do to adults, and that's suffocate them. A ranger's wife came across her ghost one night as she went to bed early. As she lay down, an unbearable presence pressed down on her, suffocating her. Terrified, the woman fought back, trying to get up from the bed and get the spirit off her, and it got so violent that the woman fell from the bed. Another ranger named Gary Walter also stayed in that room and was shocked to see the door slowly opening as he lay in bed. Just like the lady before, he suddenly felt the presence and a sense of suffocation. The Mendocini house was home to Annie Mendocini and her father, who drove freight wagons from Aurora. The home is said to be haunted by 2 children, whose laughter can be heard inside and outside the property. It seems that Annie may also have loved cooking Italian food too, as the strong, just cooked aroma of Italian cooking can still be smelt when active, and has been reported by rangers who have been out on patrol. This same house is also said to hold large parties, with the sounds of merriment heard in the darkness too, and when it's investigated, the house is always deserted. I must say, I would love to walk by the Gregory house and get a chance to see the residents here. This is the ghost of an old lady who can often be seen rocking in her chair, quietly knitting a blanket that will never be completed. It seems this old spirit is very content in her afterlife. Now, I said earlier that Bodie had 2 cemeteries, and one of these is haunted by a young girl, affectionately nicknamed the Angel of Bodie due to her headstone of a small angel. The spirit is 3-year-old Evelyn, who was the daughter to Albert and Fanny Myers. Evelyn tragically died in 1897 when somehow she was hit in the head with a miner's pick. Today, this spirit happily plays with children who visit her grave and can be heard laughing amongst the stones. Wow. What a fascinating place, and it's definitely one for my wish list. I honestly think the history and spirit of the place, no pun, is amazing, and so many people say you can still feel its magic. I mean, there is hardly any of the town left in comparison, but what you do have is a physical piece of history that is priceless. Have you visited Bodie Ghost Town? If you did, please consider sharing your experience with everyone here. Did you see or feel anything unexplainable, and your overall take on the town? And if you haven't visited, are there any key places at Bodie you would like to see, or any spirits you'd love to encounter? Please let me know in the comments below. Now, if you are wanting to visit, winter hours are 9 AM until 4 PM, and summer hours are 9 AM to 6 p.m. at the time of this recording. Please remember, never take any items out of the town, as I don't want to have to do an episode or short on you too at some point, and it's thought of as theft also. You won't want to have a slapped wrist from California's heritage. I hope you enjoyed today's haunted location, my friends, and until next time, stay safe out there.